Okay, in this week's PARSHA MISHPATIM, we're in Exodus chapter 21, Kaf Aleph, verse 1, and actually we're going to begin with verse 2. It talks about the Hebrew slave, the Hebrew servant, really. And it begins when it says, Ki tikne EVED IVRI. When you will buy a Hebrew servant, it says, Shei shanim ya'avod uvashvi'is yetzei lakhavshi chinam. He shall work for 6 years, and in the 7th year he shall go to freedom without charge. If he shall come alone, he shall go out alone. If he is the husband of a woman, his wife shall go out with him. If his master will give him a woman and she bears him sons or daughters, the woman and her children will belong to her master, and he shall go out by himself. So, commenting from the Or Chaim commentaries begins to bring this to these passages to a remez, a deeper concept. And first he says, it appears the reason the Torah law needs to say the word servant is to explain why it goes on to command he shall work for 6 years, and in the 7th year he shall go free. To this end, the Torah first declares that this person whom you are buying is already a servant of another master, Hashem, HaChodesh Baruch Hu, the Holy One. Okay? And like the Torah says elsewhere in Vayikra, Leviticus 25:55, for the children of Israel are servants to me. All right? And he goes on and it says, if he shall arrive alone, it says, im begapo yavo. Okay, the Or Chaim explains the word begapo. This is an unusual word. The word begapo, if he shall arrive alone, is equivalent to begufo, which means with his body. All right, and the Yaakov Abir says that for 6 years he shall work, and in the 7th year, each year in this verse represents a decade. The total is 70 years, corresponding to the Shekinah that is called the Bat Sheva, daughter of 7. Once the 70 years of a person's life have come to an end, he shall go free with no charge. Also, the word HaMishpatim, Mishpatim, actually means judgments, the judgments, which has the numerical value of 484, which is the same as the words guf neshama, body and soul. This hints to us that when the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, overpowers someone, when it attempts to turn him against his creator and cause him to lose both body and soul, he shall remember the judgments and punishments he will receive in the next world by transgressing them. By doing so, his body and soul will become subservient to him. We see this Parsha continues right after the giving of Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah in Exodus chapter 20, where the 10 commandments are given, and now we're seeing the rest of these commandments on how to walk in Hashem's ways, right? And so, the Or Chaim continues on this thought, and he says, he talks about the remez of this passage. And he says one component is when you buy an ivri, a servant, you are surely aware that this person can be divided into 2 distinct components. One component is spiritual, a person's soul, and this is the primary component of a person. And the other component is physical, a person's body, which Hashem created to serve the soul. For only with the body can a person fulfill many of the mitzvot that Hashem has commanded. It is thus appropriate to label the body as a servant, since it's supposed to do nothing more than assist the soul, which by virtue of being the primary component of a person is referred to man himself. And it continues and it says, the Or Chaim says, when the verse continues, he shall work for 6 years, it refers to the length of the body's term of servitude. The normal time alluded for a person is to live around 60 years. Like the verse says in Job 5:26, you will go to the grave, bechalach, at a ripe age. And upon which Chazal says in the Gemara, Moed Katan 28, that the regular time for a person to leave this world is when he is 60 years old. The numerical value, the gematria of the Hebrew word, bechalach, actually equals 60, okay, which is a ripe age. And the verse continues, and in the 7th year, meaning the 7th decade of his life, the servant shall go free with freedom, referring to death. The verse says in Tehillim, Psalms 88:6, I am counted among the dead who were free. And the verse says, Chinam, he will go free of no charge. Chinam is an allusion to the one responsible for bringing about the servant's departure in this world. That this servant's Chinam, namely the Satan and his legions, to whom the word Chinam alludes, as it refers to in the Zohar, that the weaponry of the side of evil, impure spirits, is found only in things that are done for free. That is why the forces of evil have no control over a mitzvah that a person performs at great expense. And so you will find all matters of impurity come to a person for free, while anything related to mitzvot and holiness requires great effort and expense. And the Or Chaim continues with the remez, turning to verse 3, if he shall arrive alone, he shall leave alone. If he is the husband of a woman, his wife shall leave with him. Regarding the verse, says if he shall arrive begapo, which is explained above, means if he shall arrive alone. We need to analyze the verse. Uses this uncommon word to describe the person being alone, instead of the more common way to say this in Hebrew. If he shall arrive levado. It says, the verse says elsewhere in Bereshit, Genesis 32:24, Yaakov was left levado, alone. So the unusual word of alone here in verse 3, begapo, it's not the normal way to say alone. To understand this, you should know that if a person amasses mitzvot and good deeds in this world and thereby strengthens himself spiritually, he will have the ability to rise up from the ground on the day of resurrection. Techias hamisim. And the verse tells us in Psalm 72:16, the people will sprout from the city like grass of the earth. Then, this is what the verse is alluding to by saying here, begapo. That is, gapo, gape, should be understood as a term referring to a wing. Like the verse says in Mishlei, Proverbs 9:3, upon the summits of gape, the city heights. With wing in our verse alluding to the mitzvot and good deeds of a person. Chazal in Masechet Shabbos 49, the Jewish people is compared to a dove. Just like the dove is protected from the cold and from attackers by its wings, so is Israel protected by the mitzvot. And the verse, regarding the verse that says, if with his wing he shall arrive, yavo, the word arrive shall be interpreted along with the lines what the Torah says in Bereshit 28:11, the son has arrived, vo. Okay? So it's the mitzvot that help us in the next world. Also, Or Chaim ends with this, with the respect with the Torah goes on to say, if the husband of a woman, his wife shall leave with him. The Torah alludes to a great concept here, a deeper concept, namely that the type of person who acquires his lofty soul with the power of his good deeds, and thereby becomes the owner, so to speak, of the holy soul that resides within him. And even other thoughts of this, that if he is married, the husband of a woman, the Torah is compared to a woman. Therefore, the verse refers to a person who with pure motives keeps the Torah, occupies himself with it. If he does so, his wife shall leave with him. In other words, he will receive full reward for his efforts. And the master is truly Hashem. And so I just wanted to leave this thought here on Parsha Mishpatim. May we continue to study and learn. Everybody have a great week. Shavua Tov.